My husband's first love has returned to the country. I hesitated for a second between packing my bags to leave or staying. I decided to stay. It's not because I want to be a nuisance, but purely because when we got married, he tricked me into signing an unfair agreement. If I don't divorce, all the assets are mine. If I file for divorce, I leave with nothing. Sigh. I really got played. Ethan stared at his phone, having not changed his position for 10 minutes. I secretly used the phone's magnifier. Sure enough, it was Serena's Instagram. His white moonlight, Serena, returned to the country recently, and before he saw her Instagram, Serena had already sent me a message. Vivian, I'm back in the country and would like to invite you and Ethan to dinner, okay? She was very polite in her message. But what can I talk to her about? If I return Ethan to her, I will leave with nothing. I'm not that noble. And Ethan is cunning enough to trick me into signing such an unequal agreement, clearly wanting to drive me crazy. But an arranged marriage is not something I can resist, right? Have tea. I placed the teacup in front of Ethan with a considerate smile, as if nothing was happening. What are you looking at? Ethan lifted his eyelids to glance at me, nothing much. Huh, is he afraid I'll bully his white moonlight? I won't expose him. Instead, I said, tomorrow night's business cocktail party is very important, so I won't accompany you to avoid causing you trouble. Serena will definitely seize the opportunity to attend the party. If I go, how will those two have the chance to rekindle their old flame, with heaven's thunder stirring the earth's fire? Then I won't be able to catch Ethan's cheating evidence, and I won't be able to enjoy life with the scumbag's assets. No problem. Yet he rejected me. There seemed to be a smile in his eyes, as if this wasn't the first or second time you were causing trouble. Me? Scumbag, how dare he imply that about me? I stared at his face with suspicion, trying to see what he really meant, but he wore that deep, aloof expression again. The smile from just now seemed like an illusion of mine. Humph, how could he smile at me? He is the pride of Yun City, and he was forced to marry me on the day he felt as if he had lost his parents. That night, he signed some ridiculous marriage contract with me, deceiving my fragile heart. If I hadn't been angry and pressured into marriage, I wouldn't have fallen for his trick. Did he think I would be willing to marry him? In this day and age, who doesn't have a red mole and a good heart? I went out for a bit. He suddenly got up, grabbed his coat, and left. I hurriedly chased after him, calling out to his back, "Then I'll wait for you to come back." I have to create the image of a virtuous wife and mother to better highlight his shortcomings. Humph, he wants to cheat with his first love, I have no objections, but if he expects me to bear the title of divorce and leave with nothing, that's out of the question. Ethan's footsteps paused for a moment. But he didn't turn back, he just heard a cold, desolate voice drift over, "No need." I squinted my eyes. It was already 9 o'clock at night, and he suddenly went out, telling me not to wait for him. Based on my earlier guess, could it be that he wants to meet Serena? Damn. Where's my private detective? Get online quickly. Call my best friend Bella, crossing my legs, "Babe, Ethan's white moonlight is back." On the other end of the phone, my best friend's voice came through, filled with schadenfreude. "Aren't you secretly happy now? Are you coming or not? There's a gathering later with a bunch of male models." I smacked my lips. "What are you so happy about?" "We signed an agreement before marriage, whoever brings up divorce leaves with nothing." Bella didn't care. "That's fine, my brother has plenty of money, we can learn from King Zhou and spend extravagantly." Come on, other best friends can at least give some advice, but her? She only knows how to eat, drink, and have fun. Hearing that I didn't respond, Bella became serious. "Are you serious? Damn, Ethan really is a scoundrel. In that case, my recent partners have all been private detectives. I'll have them help you find out when they got together." I've been waiting for this sentence. "Then this matter is up to you, okay? Once I get Ethan's money, I'll take you to Bali with dozens of male models." "Hey, sister, you get me." After hanging up the phone with my best friend, I started scrolling through Instagram. Wow, Bella's latest post shows her in a cute short skirt, standing behind a dozen shirtless handsome guys with 8-pack abs. Damn. This is the life I dream of. Bella is famous in our circle for being a party girl. There's no helping it, her brother is a doting brother who built a business empire just for her to squander. Back in high school, her brother was my idol, my dream lover. So I can understand Ethan's infatuation. I couldn't help but sigh at Bella's happy life when I stumbled upon Serena's Instagram, and in an instant, my eyes widened like saucers. The photo showed the silhouette of a man walking under a dim streetlight, broad-shouldered and slim-waisted, in a tailored suit and shiny leather shoes. I would recognize this man even if I turned to ashes. After all, he was the one who tormented me in bed this morning, saying that the dress I wore yesterday was too short. Ethan, you did well. Caption, so you were always there. Damn you. I let out a cold laugh and commented, is showing off love shameful? What, can't be seen in the light? Can't take the stage? Several mutual friends below sent thumbs up emojis. Bella replied directly, well, the man I spent money on can show up, so I guess she didn't spend any. The replies below are all, ha ha ha. Actually, we girls are not in competition, we are all very friendly with each other. However, Serena is not an ordinary person, she has managed to offend almost all the girls in our circle by herself. Since childhood, she has pretended to be a pure and innocent flower, delicate and fragile, fond of flirting with men, especially those who have girlfriends, and afterwards always puts on a pitiful expression, as if she were the one forced into it. Really, you are all 1,000-year-old foxes, what fairy tale are you playing? Serena specifically replied to me, the smirk is about to show itself soon. Oh no, this is an open provocation to me. Fingers tapped away on the keyboard for a long time, then deleted one by one. Let's just hold back for now, after all, Ethan has added her as a friend. The head can be severed, blood can flow, but the image of a virtuous wife and mother cannot be lost. Feeling a bit wronged, I call my mom. Mom, my mom is putting on a face mask, and my calling her gave her goosebumps. Vivian, Mom is here, stop calling my soul. Me. Mom understands me very well, is Vivian feeling wronged? Does she want to buy a bag or a house? My mood instantly brightened. Then I'll pick you up tomorrow, and we'll go shopping. Mom nodded happily, I'll use your dad's black card, whatever you want, Mom will buy it for you. I played with the black card in my hand and smiled playfully, no need, Dad's money is hard-earned, we'll spend Ethan's, his money comes easy. Dad, who was reading the newspaper beside me, interjected, this daughter is my own, if anyone says Vivian and I aren't close, I'll be furious. I burst out laughing, Dad is right. Getting up from the 3-meter-wide bed, the side was still empty. Wow, Ethan didn't come back all night. Impressive. After washing up, the nanny had already prepared breakfast and placed it on the table. Holding a cup of hot milk, I looked at her as she was about to cook noodles and said, no need to cook, it's a waste of food. The maid was puzzled, Sir specifically instructed yesterday that he wants to eat noodles today. I nodded, I know, that's why I need you not to waste food. The maid was even more confused, huh? Is it a waste of food for Sir to eat noodles? Just as I was about to explain, Ethan came in after changing his shoes, frowning as he replied, am I wasting? Damn. It's really better to come back at the right time than to come back early. I obediently sat down at the dining table, picked up the toast, and started eating, pretending that nothing had happened. Looking at the crab roe buns, avocado egg toast, cumin steamed buns, and shrimp steamed eggs in front of me, a lavish breakfast with 7 or 8 exquisite dishes. In contrast, on his table, there was just a bowl of plain noodles with a fried egg. I have to say, it was quite shabby. Ethan sat across from me, lazily leaning against the back of the chair, looking at me with a half-smile, it's indeed quite wasteful. I felt guilty for 3 seconds and then switched to battle mode. I waited for you all night last night, thinking you wouldn't come back this morning either, so I told the aunt not to cook, to avoid wasting food. Ethan lifted his eyelids to look at me. After waiting all night, your skin is still fair and rosy. When it comes to sarcasm, I've never won against him. My lips twitched. The effects of cosmetic treatments are really good. How about I take you to get some done too? At this moment, the noodles had also cooled down. Ethan picked up his chopsticks and quietly began to eat the noodles. He ate very quietly, slowly, and was very frugal with food, finishing even the broth of the noodles. As for the breakfast I can't finish every morning, he always finishes it. Sometimes he eats so much that he doesn't eat at noon. This might be because he lived in the countryside with his grandfather when he was young. Many of his qualities are quite rare in our circle. To be honest, I find those aspects of him quite charming. For women, shopping is ingrained in their DNA. She chose a dark green silk spaghetti strap backless long dress, casually pinned her hair up with a pearl hairpin, leaving 2 slightly curled strands on the sides, then sprayed some sunscreen and applied lipstick, and that was it. Is the black handbag pretty, or does the white one match better? What are you going to do? Ethan took off his watch and placed it on the table, casually asking. I held 2 bags in front of him and asked, shopping, can't you tell? Which one do you think looks good? Ethan lifted his eyelids, the white one. All right. As for aesthetics, I have great faith in him. After all, he took an art appreciation course while studying finance abroad. Putting his black card into my bag, I felt a pang of conscience thinking about today's shopping spree and began to hint. Actually, one should pursue true love, especially at your level, right? Ethan casually undid his tie with one hand and replied, I will continue to work hard. In fact, it's quite normal for a man to have a white moonlight in his heart. It's so obvious that even Ethan, who isn't a fool, should understand. Sure enough, Ethan understood, looking at me a couple more times, seemingly deep in thought. I licked my lips, ready to keep going. He slowly spoke, you would look better with a light blue diamond star necklace. Remember to bring that blue gemstone necklace you bought at the last auction for Mom. Me? What the hell are you talking about? Staring at me without moving, Ethan opened the jewelry drawer and put the small blue diamond necklace around my neck, nodding in satisfaction. Your skin is fair, and light blue suits you best. Saying this, she opened another drawer and placed a small blue velvet gift box into my bag. I told Mom that I would go home for dinner on the weekend. After saying it lightly, I turned around and prepared to go to the bathroom. Hey, how did you know I was out shopping with my mom? I asked, a bit slow on the uptake. Ethan didn't answer me, but I heard a soft laugh, as if he was mocking my foolishness. Mom, how did he know I was out shopping with you? I couldn't figure it out the whole way. Mom really liked this necklace and immediately took off the pearl necklace around her neck to put it on. Vivian, you can't hide anything on your face. Mom chuckled lightly, usually when you go shopping, it's just me, Bella, or Ethan. Because I've always liked silk fabrics, you generally wear silk clothes when you come out with me, and you always respond to Ethan with a strong tone that's a bit provocative. As for you and Bella shopping, the clothes are mainly bright and sexy, with a lot of back and leg exposure, and you always tell Ethan that you won't be back for dinner in the evening. I gave a thumbs up. Mom, you're truly a goddess. Goodness, Ethan has me completely under his thumb. But Mom understands me very well. Holding my hand, she asked, what did Ethan do to make you unhappy? Huh? No, not at all. I changed the subject, he's really nice to me. Mom looked at me suspiciously, really? I nodded, of course, he even helped me put on the necklace around my neck. Only then did Mom feel at ease and comforted me, that's good. Ethan has been growing up in front of us since he was little. He may not say much, but he is very sincere and truly good to you. Yes, that's right. I casually brushed it off, it used to be really good, but now the situation is different. His white moonlight has returned, and last night he even learned to stay out all night, mingling with his white moonlight. Thinking of this makes me angry. So I pointed at the bag on the cabinet and said, pack all of these for me. I rarely do this, it's usually my mom who does it more often. When my dad makes her angry, she also spends money like this. The sales assistant's exquisite makeup was now creased with laughter. Alright, there are still some new products inside. Mom didn't stop me and casually pointed to a few bags she liked, asking the sales assistant to wrap them up separately to send to the villa. Because I didn't give advance notice, there is no private booking today, and there are still quite a few socialites and ladies frequently looking back at me, some even showing friendly smiles. Hey, what a coincidence, Vivian. The sweet tone instantly woke me up as I turned around to look at the harmlessly smiling Serena, who was accompanied by a few of her girlfriends. I didn't check the almanac before going out, what bad luck. I crossed my arms and held a cold smile, what a coincidence. Serena stepped forward, wanting to hold my hand affectionately, but I shook her off. She wasn't embarrassed at all, smiling so sweetly. Are you shopping alone, Vivian? Why isn't big brother Ethan with you? He used to often accompany me shopping when I was studying abroad. This was a provocation. I looked her up and down and said calmly, why have you been down on your luck lately? Dressed so cheaply? Her outfit was worth quite a bit, but it was not high fashion, just ordinary international first and second tier. To others, it has become a luxury, but we don't even have the qualification to be photographed. Serena's face flushed. I've been doing charity recently. As for clothes, as long as they're comfortable, it's better than those brands which are so meaningless. Huh. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Yes, you didn't say that when you were bullying those ordinary girls at school. Her biggest scandal isn't actually about being a White Lotus seducing men, but the bullying she did at the elite school. If it hadn't been for Bella and me playing on the rooftop at that time, we wouldn't have saved a girl who was about to jump off the building. I really didn't know she could be so arrogant in school. After we taught her a lesson, she became obedient. Serena's face was a mix of pale and green, but she still managed to hold back her anger. It seems I need to ask Bella how the investigation by her ex-boyfriend's private detective agency is going. She seems a bit off during this meeting. The sales assistant packed all the bags I selected. 8 young men, carrying dozens of bags, looked quite impressive. The sales assistant flattered, Madam, these bags are all packed and ready to be sent to your residence? I casually took out my black card and handed it over, responding nonchalantly. Hearing the sound of the card being swiped, Serena stood there in a daze for a while before saying, Vivian, this is really too extravagant. Won't brother Ethan be angry if he finds out? Angry? Ethan has always been fine as long as I'm happy when it comes to money. With a quick glance, I took out my phone and said, Really? It seems like you've bought quite a bit, let me ask my husband. Saying that, he directly made the call and put it on speaker. Let's see if they reveal any slip-ups. On the other end, Ethan quickly answered, his voice slightly deep, What's wrong? I looked at the impressive bags and smiled lightly. I just bought a few bags using your card. I want to ask if you feel heartbroken? After a moment, Ethan finally spoke. I just saw the message. Did you buy dozens of bags? I held back a laugh. Yeah. Ethan's tone was very calm. Just for such a trivial matter? To others, it seemed like extravagant waste, but in Ethan's eyes, it was as ordinary as drinking water. At this moment, Serena finally couldn't hold back and called out sweetly, Brother Ethan. Ethan's voice was somewhat cold. You went shopping with her? Look, as soon as the white moonlight pouts, he worries that I will bully her. I smiled faintly. Ethan was silent for a moment. Got it. TSK. You're putting on quite a show. After hanging up the phone, Serena still stared at my phone with a hint of reluctance. Funny. If you want to contact him, just call him. At this moment, I came across a haute couture dress, just air freighted from France, featuring this year's highlight of sequined lace, truly sparkling. I immediately set my eyes on the strapless sequined gown in the center. I'll give it a try. As soon as I said that, Serena next to me interrupted, I already booked it. After saying that, she shot me a provocative glance. Vivian, you won't compete with me, will you? Goodness, turning black into white, you really can do it. I crossed my arms and sneered. I spoke first, so why should I let you go first? Serena tilted her head, pretending to be cute, because for me, the things I want, including people, have never been amiss. This is an open provocation. I blinked. Then you should put in more effort, try harder. Then I picked out other clothes. Although that haute couture dress was really beautiful, it was too heavy. There's no need to wear something that weighs over 10 pounds to a banquet. I wasn't even this tired on my wedding day. You don't want it anymore? Serena was clearly taken aback by my words. She was ready to attack, but I completely ignored it. I smiled and said, yes, I'm giving it to you. After all, there's plenty of this. After shopping and having a meal with my mom, I got a beauty treatment and changed my nails before heading home. It was already past 10 at night, and Ethan was still sitting in the study, working diligently. Being a boss is quite tough, huh? He took out the tie his mother had chosen for him and began to show off. Does it look good? I picked it out just for you. Ethan glanced at the tie and rubbed his temples. Mom has a good eye. Me? How did he figure this out? Is there a name written on this tie? Ethan handed me the empty teacup, signaling for me to pour him some tea. I obediently poured a cup of tea, then leaned in and asked, how did you know? Ethan's expression remained deep and aloof, but there was a smile in his eyes as he took the cup, rubbing the lid gently, and said slowly, you don't even like me wearing a bow tie, how could you possibly buy one for me? I was at a loss. But I can't back down. I licked my lips. I ran into Serena while shopping today. What a coincidence, right? Ethan didn't even raise an eyebrow. This reaction was within my expectations. I continued, aren't you going to say something? Ethan replied slowly, oh, got it. A bit angry, it's like hitting a punch into cotton. It seems he wants to keep playing dumb with me. I called out, I feel like she hasn't been doing too well lately. Do you want to go ask her? Finally, Ethan reacted, letting out a cold snort, his icy eyes now shrouded in a layer of cold mist. How she is doing has nothing to do with me. I looked at him mockingly, pretending, you keep pretending, I'll just silently watch your performance. Ethan frowned, displeased, what do you mean by all this roundabout talk today? Oh. Why aren't you pretending anymore? I sneered, it's meaningless. Ethan ignored me and turned to leave the study. After he left, I stomped my foot in anger, jerk. Taking a bath, sending a video to Bella. Bella is at the bar, it's so noisy that the deafening sound is making me go deaf. She moved quickly and directly pulled me into a group, which had a total of 7 people including me. I have to say, Bella's ex-boyfriend group is really handsome. Vivian, these are all the materials we found on Serena. As for Ethan, his confidentiality measures are too good, but he has a very regular schedule, with no other activities besides going home, to the company, and socializing. I sent a big red envelope in the group and then started downloading the materials. This PPT is well done, let's continue next time. Serena suddenly returned from abroad because she got divorced. I was so shocked to learn that she had secretly married overseas that I almost jumped out of the bathtub. As for the reason for the divorce, it turned out that she was deceived into marriage by a fake rich second-generation heir, who also swindled her out of her assets. No wonder she dressed so low-key for this meeting. After feeling sorry for her for 3 seconds, I thought she deserved it. Who told her to be so snobbish and greedy? There were quite a few boys in school who genuinely liked her, but in the end, she looked down on those boys for being poor and called them losers. After having a glass of red wine, I finally calmed my excited heart. Humming a tune, I returned to the bedroom and found Ethan sitting on the bed reading, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, the embodiment of a scholarly ascetic, exuding an air of refined restraint. I see a cup of warm milk placed beside the bedside table, and my heart stirs a little. Ever since I was a child, I have had the habit of drinking a cup of warm milk before going to bed. To be honest, he has treated me really well, taking care of me inside and out. At first, my mom was worried that he couldn't handle my spoiled princess temper, but now he indulges me even more than before, and my dad is very satisfied. Although it's a marriage of convenience, after being together for so long, I really can't bear to part with him. Why are you so happy? Ethan lifted his eyelids and glanced at me. I climbed onto the bed and said with a smile, maybe it's because I had some red wine, and I'm in a good mood. Ethan took off his gold-framed glasses, closed the book, and placed it on the bedside table, asking, "Do you want to turn off the light?" I was puzzled. Why turn off the light? Ethan nodded, then it doesn't matter. At that moment, I finally realized, my face turning red. Wasn't it just the night before last that, be gentle? I feel so sorry for Ethan. It's one thing to work hard during the day, but to struggle so much at night too. I rubbed my sore lower back. He must be a tiger, so fierce. The makeup artist teased with concealer. Vivian, the jar of new concealer I brought this time is not enough. Is Ethan working that hard? I blushed and said, shut up. The makeup artist chuckled lightly. To be honest, your relationship with Ethan is really good. It's been 3 years and I've never seen you two argue. Ah, that's true. Every time I get angry, I just swipe my card, and if he's unhappy, he gets really fierce in bed. The parties Ethan usually brings me to are at the pinnacle of the pyramid, filled with all sorts of big shots, real big shots. I wrap my arm around his, and weave through the sea of smiling faces. At a glance, I was captivated by Serena, who was dressed in a very eye-catching outfit. That dress looked stunning on her yesterday, but I couldn't tell how many layers she had on. She looked even more curvaceous than I did. As always, there were quite a few gentlemen surrounding her, eager to flatter her. However, in the presence of Ethan, she would reach the battlefield within 5 seconds. I shook my goblet, starting the countdown in my mind. 5, 4, 3. Before I could finish counting down, a sweet, cloying voice rang out, Ethan brother, Vivian. I looked up and saw Serena walking over, holding up her skirt, looking at Ethan with a hint of shyness. Ethan wrapped his arm around my waist, his hand rubbing against my side. Is this a warning for me not to speak carelessly and bully her? Serena gently greeted the several big shots beside her. The big shots joked, who would have thought that after all these years, Serena still likes to cling to Ethan so much? Serena pretended to be shy, her face turning red. Ethan reached out and placed the empty goblet I had finished into the waiter's hand, without offering any explanation. That was just taken for granted. Goodness, they actually dare to flirt in front of me, a surge of unnamed anger rising within. However, getting angry at this moment isn't wise. It would ruin my image as a virtuous wife and good mother. She revealed a proper smile. Well, you grew up together since childhood, so your feelings are naturally different. You suddenly went abroad 3 years ago and didn't keep in touch with us. Now that you're back, are you leaving again? The words going abroad were particularly heavy on my tongue. It was obvious that a flash of panic crossed Serena's face, but she quickly composed herself. Well, after studying abroad for 3 years, I naturally wouldn't leave after learning so much. I would still rely on Uncle Gu and the other support in the future. Saying this, she raised her glass, and the other big shots, seeing Ethan's face, also clinked their glasses. Ethan didn't even lift his eyelids, whispering in my ear, "This champagne is not good." I looked at him with a strange expression. Ethan's gaze was deep, and he frowned slightly, making it impossible to tell that he was saying this to divert my attention. Oscar owes him a little golden statue. After finishing her drink, Serena's cheeks were slightly flushed as she looked up at Ethan sweetly and said, "Brother Ethan." The other big shots were very understanding and smiled as they left first, and I didn't hesitate either. I'm feeling a bit unwell, so let the driver take me home first. You all chat slowly. Look at me, am I not generous? I've won the atmosphere, right? If I don't leave, how can I give you the chance for thunder and fire to rekindle old feelings? How can I take Ethan's money to bring Bella and the male model to the Maldives? Unwell? Ethan's expression turned cold as he grabbed my hand and started to walk outside. What are you doing? I whispered, trying to shake off his hand. Ethan's face darkened as he coldly said, "To the hospital." Me? I swallowed the words "you have a problem" that almost slipped out. I forced a smile. It's okay, I can just lie down for a bit when I get back. At that moment, Serena quickly added, Vivian, you should go back first. Ethan and I still have some things to talk about. No need, my wife is unwell, I need to take her to the hospital for a checkup. The tone was cold, leaving no room for refusal. Serena's eyes were red, truly pitiful, and I felt a pang of sympathy. But Ethan didn't even glance at her, pulling me along as we walked out. Late at night, all the authorities of the private hospital arrived to examine me. I repeatedly assured him that I was really healthy and had no issues, but he didn't believe me, until the doctor said, Madam, your health is excellent. Only then did he stop talking. As I got into the car and adjusted my headrest, he coldly said, So you're not feeling well there? Is it never ending? I'm also angry. No, I'm very healthy. What I just said was to create conditions for you and Serena to be together, right? Why are you so inconsiderate? Ethan's face instantly turned frighteningly cold. But at this moment, I also laid my cards on the table, no longer pretending, as there was no need to act phony anymore. I know she has returned, you feel embarrassed to tell me, but I know. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly, his voice carrying a hint of sharpness. What do you know? I crossed my arms and sneered, I know you want to be with Serena, and I won't be the one to tear lovers apart. Ethan stared at me coldly for a long while, his gaze making me feel a bit numb. How dare you look at me like that after doing something wrong? I lifted my chin and defiantly stared back. So you want to talk to me about divorce? Hearing him say the word divorce caused an inexplicable pain in my heart. I didn't say anything. Ethan pondered for a moment, as if he understood something. During this time, your strange behavior is a test for me, isn't it? Although it was a question, it carried a tone of certainty. He is very smart, otherwise, he wouldn't be the youngest on the Forbes billionaire list. I pressed my lips together. This is for your sake, I won't take the initiative to mention divorce. I'm kicking this ball back to you. Don't think I'll take the blame for this and leave with nothing. Ethan slowly closed his eyes, as if very tired. I won't mention divorce either. Damn. You dog of a man. I hate Mondays, because I have to go to work. How did the pleasant weekend pass by so quickly? At first, my parents kicked me out of the family company to promote my relationship with Ethan, reducing me from a dignified vice president to the president's secretary. Truly my real parents. Good morning, boss lady. As soon as I entered the company, the receptionist greeted me with a smile. She is Ethan's distant cousin, beautiful and clever, but talkative. I originally wanted to keep a low profile and hide my identity, but her chatter made it so that half the company's colleagues knew within half an hour, including the janitor from the building next door. I shrugged helplessly. Good morning, little cousin. Come on, let's hurt each other. The little cousin smiled and came over. Cousin, that White Lotus arrived half an hour ago, seems like she wants to collaborate on some project with brother Ethan. I raised an eyebrow. She didn't seize the opportunity last night, so today she's creating one? She's quite ruthless. My little cousin added, but brother Ethan is very busy, and the White Lotus is still sitting in the conference room. Why don't you go meet her first and drive this vixen away? Drive her away? But you can drive her away on the first day of the month, not on the 15th. Besides, she is the white moonlight, the irresistible white moonlight in every man's heart. Last night, Bella sent me a bunch of photos of male models, and some of them are ridiculously handsome. Vivian, do you know how many men there are in this world? 3.5 billion. Aren't you going to spit out that flavorless gum you're chewing? Come on, kick that jerk Ethan to the curb, and let me take you on a world tour, so you can experience different male models from various countries. If you get tired, I'll have my brother give you a back rub. I originally thought I would be sad and unable to sleep last night, but instead, I woke up laughing in my dreams. Serena sat in the conference room, a cup of hot tea in front of her, holding a book in her hands. Seriously. Damn it, who comes to discuss a collaboration with a collection of essays? Hearing the voice, Serena turned around happily. "Brother Ethan." "Vivian, what brings you here?" The smile on her face vanished completely when she saw me. Well, she had just had hyaluronic acid injections. Smiling for too long would cause wrinkles. I crossed my arms and scoffed. "I heard you waited for half an hour, and Ethan still hasn't come over. Should I call him for you? Are you really that kind-hearted?" Serena looked at me with a puzzled expression. I shrugged. "Yeah, I'm quite magnanimous." With that, I turned around and went to the president's office to call Ethan over, curious to see if he would still put on an act this time. Ethan looked at Serena calmly and asked, "What's the matter?" I didn't expect that he would be so brief and concise even to his white moonlight. Serena's smile was incredibly sincere. "Brother Ethan, I came here to discuss a few collaborations with you. I heard that you are currently interested in chip technology. I know a few scientists in Silicon Valley who have done extensive research in this field." "No need." Ethan directly refused, leaving no room for negotiation. "Why?" Serena was stunned and echoed my thoughts. I had heard him chatting with Dad, saying he was optimistic about this field, that it would dominate for decades to come. Ethan glanced down at me, his cold expression seemingly carrying an emotion I couldn't comprehend. I was afraid my wife would get jealous. Saying such strange things in all seriousness? "Me?" I hurriedly said, "We can talk about it." Ethan shot me a cold glance and turned back to the office. It was the first time he looked at me like that, and I couldn't help but feel a pang in my heart. So annoying. What's the point of working? Finding Bella, looking at male models. That night, Bella wanted me to stay at her house, saying there was an event, which scared me so much that I quickly grabbed my bag and ran away. The private detectives Bella hired told me they'd been investigating for several days and haven't seen Ethan and Serena meet. "Are you sure they have a relationship behind the scenes?" I didn't believe one private detective, but when 7 of them said it, I believed it. After all, Bella doesn't like Ethan and feels that he took me away, so there's no need for them to speak well of Ethan. When I got home, Ethan wasn't back yet. I put on a face mask and watched a horror movie in the living room with the projector, waiting for him to return so I could ask him clearly. By the time the horror movies were over, I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open, and only then did I hear some noise at the door. Ethan was helped in by the driver, reeking of alcohol. The driver explained, "Madam, the boss, General Manager Gua, and General Manager Song went out for drinks last night, and it seems they weren't in a very good mood." Mr. Gu and Mr. Song are Ethan's childhood friends, having played together since they were young. One is a lawyer, and the other is a doctor. They are usually very busy with work, and since their social circles are different, they rarely get together. Unless, of course, Ethan feels wronged and seeks them out for a drink. Me. This was during the wedding when Mr. Gu got drunk and let it slip. That's how I found out this secret, and it made me laugh so hard at the time. Ethan glanced at me, ignored me, and turned to the kitchen to pour water. I followed him, watching as he spilled water all over the table, and I offered to help. "Let me do it." Ethan released his grip, waiting for me to pour it properly and hand it to him. After finishing his drink, he put down the cup and turned to go to the bathroom. It's dangerous to take a shower after drinking too much, so I hurriedly followed him. "You can't take a shower now." Ethan was quite obedient, so he returned to the study, opened the computer, and stared blankly. All right, this is trying to make me take the initiative to admit my mistake. So I moved a small stool and sat next to him. "Why are you angry?" Ethan blushed, stared at me, and remained silent for a long time. I get a bit impatient sometimes, and he reaches out to pinch my face, looking a bit wronged. "Why do you always push me away?" I cross my arms. "This is just self-awareness, okay? I don't care about other women, but who is Serena? She's your childhood sweetheart, your white moonlight. How can I compare to that?" Ethan pinched my face and then started tugging at my hair. "Tell me, do you not have any feelings for me? No thoughts at all? That's why you're not jealous, not envious. It's quite rhythmic." I pressed my lips together. Actually, it's not like that, but we can all restrain ourselves. After all, we are adults and cannot force another person. Ethan, who drank too much, likes to touch me. Don't get me wrong, it's not the kind that requires pixelation, but rather the kind where he treats me like a pet. Ethan got tired of playing with my hair, then held my face, getting very close. He said seriously, "I'm really angry." I was baffled. Why are you angry? Aren't you supposed to be very happy? That's your white moonlight, right? Ethan's handsome face flushed slightly, his eyes hazy, mumbling, "What white moonlight? Who said she is my white moonlight?" Ah? She's not your white moonlight? This news blew my mind. But just as I was about to ask more, he had already closed his eyes and started to breathe evenly. How much did he drink? He must be feeling so wronged. Woke up, my whole body aching and sore. Looking at the empty bed, good grief, it's true that after a night of drinking, the person just runs away without even a word of thanks. Ethan, sober, is mature, steady, noble, and proud, making it hard for others to look him in the eye. Drunk Ethan is only 5 years old, and not a day older. La la la, planting the sun. Looking at the caller ID showing White Lotus, I frowned slightly. What call could it be so early in the morning? As soon as the call connected, I heard Serena's choked voice, "You, Vivian, act so high and mighty on the surface, looking down on everything, but behind the scenes, you're so ruthless." Before she could finish her tirade, I hung up the phone. Only Ethan can make the 1,000-year White Lotus turn against me. It seems that during the time I was asleep, something extraordinary must have happened. Wearing 10-centimeter high heels and a red long dress to work. I usually dress quite understated, so it's rare to see me so flamboyant today. The little cousin at the front desk excitedly approached. "Sister-in-law, are you going to have a showdown with the White Lotus?" I frowned. What happened? The little cousin pulled me to the tea room and began to share what she knew. This morning, the White Lotus came again, and what she wore was quite refreshing. She actually went for a sexy look, but her figure lacked the imposing aura of her sister-in-law. I don't know how she timed it so perfectly, landing right in her brother's arms, which startled Ethan into stepping back a few paces. You can't imagine how funny the scene was. Did Ethan reject the White Lotus's embrace? I asked suspiciously, "Is that true?" My little cousin swore. What would I lie to you for? Come on, I'll show you the surveillance footage. I quickly said, no need, no need. But my little cousin was too strong and dragged me to the monitoring room, and the security guard hurriedly made way. Ha ha ha. To be honest, I couldn't help it. My little cousin really wasn't exaggerating. Ethan must have still been a bit dizzy from the alcohol in the morning and didn't avoid the scammer Serena in time, but I really didn't expect that quick retreat of his. Then Ethan directly took off his coat, somewhat disdainfully handing it to the secretary. After saying a few words, he saw Serena running away in tears, and without looking back, Ethan went straight to the office. There are 2 minutes left until the end of work, and I took out my makeup mirror to touch up. Suddenly, the table was knocked, and when I looked up, I saw Ethan standing next to me with a cold expression. Come to my office. Why? I blurted out, is there something urgent? I had arranged to have lunch with Bella at noon. Her new boyfriend's brother can do a backflip. I don't mean anything else, I just want to see the backflip. Ethan squinted his eyes, sizing me up. Do you have an appointment at noon? No, no. I quickly got up and followed him into the president's office. Once I entered, he casually locked the office door behind him. Me? Come, let's clarify things. He sat on the sofa, not forgetting to pour me a cup of tea. It seemed we were in for a long talk. I nodded. Go ahead. Ethan's eyes were clear and serious. Last night you told me that Serena is my white moonlight, although I don't know where you heard that. It's not true. I looked at him with suspicion. Fake? Don't you have any strange relationship with her? My words clearly conveyed my disbelief. Ethan sighed, a bit helpless. What made you misunderstand? I counted on my fingers and said, that night I asked you what you were watching, and you were looking at her Instagram photos. Ethan squinted his eyes, recalling as he opened his phone. Once he opened it, the entire folder was filled with my photos, and then he found the photo from that day. Goodness, that photo had Serena in it, but I was in the back holding a candied hawthorn and making a yes gesture. So what were you doing that night when you didn't come home? As I said this, I pulled up the Instagram post that Serena had sent. Ethan glanced at it but didn't explain. Instead, he took my hand and walked me to the computer, opening the company surveillance from that night. He had been working overtime at the company all night. I misunderstood this too. I misunderstood quite deeply, and I awkwardly smiled. Well, you didn't explain it clearly to me either. Ethan reached out and wrapped his arm around my waist, pulling me onto his lap, his tone somewhat helpless. You could actually just tell me directly. I blushed and stammered, oh. If I'm in the wrong, I should admit defeat. Changing the subject, so what did you talk about with Serena this morning? Ethan's voice remained deep, but it had a slightly more seductive rasp than usual. I told her not to contact me anymore, my wife would get jealous, no cooperation, no meetings. I couldn't help but give a thumbs up. When it comes to rejecting people, he is truly decisive and straightforward. I still remember the time I went out to dinner with Bella and saw him reject a beautiful woman's advances, just as ruthlessly. At that time, Bella even said, a straight guy like this won't be able to find a partner in the future. In the evening, Ethan took me out for a candlelight dinner. He has been so busy lately, and it's not easy for him to finally have some free time. As for me ditching Bella at noon, she naturally didn't take it to heart. But unexpectedly, that night I ran into her and her brother also having dinner here. Bella was very happy and came up to hug me. Vivian, what a coincidence. Why did you suddenly stand me up at noon? You look so good, it would have been such a waste not to come. Ethan said coldly, oh, what's the event this afternoon? Bella looked at him provocatively, of course, it's 10 handsome male models, me. Bella, you spoke very well, but don't say anything more. Ethan's eyes narrowed slightly as he glanced at me, very good, giving me face in front of others. But my legs went weak. Seeing that Bella still wanted to speak, I hurriedly covered her mouth and whispered in her ear, Bella, I misunderstood him about the White Lotus incident. Bella scoffed, I know. Me? So I'm the only fool here? Bella hugged me and sat down. It's obvious to anyone that Ethan has feelings for you. Otherwise, why did my brother withdraw in the first place? It's not like he could compete with Ethan's deep affection. What is this? What strange thing is this? At this moment, Bella's brother, Richard, chuckled and said, let's eat. Richard is elegant and noble, handsome in appearance, and speaks gently, making people feel as if they are bathed in spring breeze. In high school, he was the school heartthrob, with girls chasing after him for 10 kilometers without repetition. Moreover, he is the older brother of my best friend, truly a white moonlight. Okay. I obediently replied and sat up straight. Ethan shot me a cold glance, and in an instant, my good mood was ruined. The meal was very enjoyable, Bella's lively personality kept the conversation going, and Richard was always able to chime in, making me giggle non-stop, while Ethan maintained a serious expression the whole time. However, the three of us were used to it. After dinner, brother Richard accompanied Bella to the bar, while Ethan took me home. Hey, we're all young people, why is there such a big difference? As soon as he got in the car, Ethan pulled down the divider in the middle. I curiously asked, why, Ethan usually kept his composure very well, but today he seemed quite anxious. In the car, he was still quite attentive, and after getting out, he directly picked me up in a Princess Carry and strode into the house. I wrapped my arms around his neck and giggled. Ethan, you're so eager. Alright, I paid a painful price for this sentence, not getting out of bed all night. You're ruthless. Let's see how long you can keep it up. Breathless, he whispered in my ear, Vivian, let's have a child. I gasped, why the rush? At first, we agreed to stay single and have fun for a few more years. But since the agreement was useless, having a child turned out to be the most effective solution. After all this time, it turned out he had been waiting for me here all along. But seeing him work so hard, well, it wasn't impossible. Noticing that I didn't refuse, Ethan's lips curled into a smirk, and he put in even more effort. I'm pregnant, and Ethan really has something going for him. Anyway, I'm completely exhausted, while he is still full of energy. There's no helping it, he is exceptionally disciplined and works out every morning, while I just sleep and eat in the mornings. Ethan, who is usually very busy, has started to reduce his work to spend time with me. He knows that the mood of a pregnant woman is the most important, and now I ask for the stars, and he won't even pick the moon for me. My parents shake their heads at this. My daughter must have saved Ethan's whole family in her past life. I chuckled lightly, who says she didn't? I used to think that my relationship with Ethan was just a business marriage, but later I realized he had been plotting against me for a long time. At first, Bella's brother was also interested in me, but Ethan was more ruthless. He came to propose directly and first won over my parents. Moreover, he also knew that I had feelings for Richard, so every time I met with Richard, he would get incredibly jealous. That night, he had endured for years and finally exploded. So silly, I always regarded Richard as my white moonlight, merely white moonlight, and I never wanted to pluck the stars. Ethan, you're done for, I've got you tightly caught.